everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Eleni Artemis. I'm an assistant director of undergraduate admission here at the University of Denver. Um, Thank you for our computer science program as well for hosting this event. Our undergraduate admission is really grateful that a lot of our academic departments have been willing to jump on a call with prospective students and answer their questions. Just so you all know, we have enabled closed captioning, so you should be able to see the captions at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We also have disabled the chat feature, but we do have a Q&A feature at the bottom of this Zoom. So if you would like to ask questions, we always welcome it. Please write your questions in that Q&A feature, and then we can either type our responses back to you. Some we may answer out loud as well for the full group. Okay. I'm going to hand it over to Meredith Corley to introduce herself and the computer science program.
Hi everyone, I'm Meredith. I am department administrator in computer science. I send you regrets from our faculty. They are either in class teaching right now, or we have a candidate on campus. Really exciting. Hope we get some good hires for next year. So that's where they are tonight. But if you do get way deep into the advising questions, I am more than happy to pass those on and get you an answer. So let's get started. Sorry, okay, share screen. This one. All right, here we are. So welcome. And then these are our main people. My boss, our department chair, Dr. Chris Gauthier-Dickey, is the person who usually runs this, and he works with our game design program, and he also teaches a few classes related to like programming languages, advanced programming languages, getting into things like that. There are also two other departments in our school, electrical and computer engineering, and also mechanical and materials engineering. We're currently at 18 faculty, and fingers crossed we get some good candidates this year for next year. Okay, that's our next one. Yeah, we have 3 departments. Research areas. So DU is one, so we're an R1 school. That means we are in the top tier of National Science Foundation and other government funding for research. And the areas currently in our department, we have faculty working in human-robot interaction, cybersecurity, natural language processing, everything here. And this is something to take a look at whether you're at DU or another school. Most undergraduate programs are going to be in the same areas. You start with the same basics. All of our majors, whether you're doing BS or BA, whether you're doing computer science, game development, or applied computing, they all start in the same place. But then once you start to branch out and you start to look at what am I going to do for electives? What kind of specialized toolkits do I want to put into my own portfolio, into my own professional portfolio? And that's where you start to look at your faculty's research areas. That's going to be their areas of expertise. And those are also going to be the electives that we offer. So we have several like permanent elective courses, and then some rotating topics courses when faculty are trying out something new. And those are going to be in their research areas. Next, so going into the undergraduate curriculum. And yeah, here starting with all of our majors and all of our priorities. So throughout the curriculum, the faculty are deeply committed to embedding diversity, equity, inclusivity, and ethics into technology, because that's what you're going to be seeing once you get finished with your college career, and what you see out there in the real world. And yes, this is a STEM field. However, our department firmly believes in the principles of the liberal arts and how those apply to technology and how those give us purpose and ground the work that we do. So starting off with your intros, at the very beginning, everyone is in Intro to Computer Science, which is an intro to the field. And then Intro to Programming, it gets you into what your assignments are with Python and working with starting programming skills. A very common question: do you need to know anything before you come into a CS major? Nope. It's wonderful if you do, and that's fantastic. And if you're coming in with AP or IB credit, you'll want to talk to a faculty advisor about where in this intro sequence you will be. We don't have one set path. Some students with AP credit decide to start with intros in the cohort with everyone else. Some students with AP credit decide to jump ahead. And some students with experience but not credit talk to an advisor and, you know, find the appropriate place for them to begin. We want you to be successful, and what that's going to look like is going to be different for every student. So there's your first year courses. Then you jump into your second year courses, which are more of your fundamentals for any kind of programming. Pretty much everyone except the applied computing majors will do discrete math systems and algorithms in the second year. Applied computing people are a little bit different. That major is designed to be a secondary major. So it's technology skills to support another discipline that is your big area of passion. And then you're looking for electives that will satisfy both of those. And then by the third year, what I was talking about with research areas, then you will diverge with your electives. So where do you want to go with cybersecurity? Where do you want to go with data engineering? Are you interested in getting into game design aspects? You don't need to be a game design major to take those courses, and vice versa. Game design majors can take other courses, but you will have graphics, game design, and game capstone will be required. Study abroad is huge at DU, and computer science compared to the engineering disciplines is much more flexible. So if most of the study abroad programs are in fall during fall semester, but CS is flexible enough that you can do the spring programs that are out there. And there was one in Japan that was very, very popular with our students, a whole lot of anime fans. So if you do end up here, you definitely want to check out your opportunities for international education. Most of our students who do study abroad are working on common curriculum, their language, their culture courses, but it is possible to do courses in the major while you are studying abroad. We've had students in Scotland, Ireland, Australia, and Korea have taken courses that were part of their major, and not just a language course. And then more undergraduate opportunities. The eSTEM program is to broaden participation. Excuse me, to broaden participation in computing. And you go through with a specific cohort that works with a grant support and an advisor support to create a group of students who will be moving on in STEM. So, then also the Grand Challenges Scholars. Those are, and that's another cohort group that is working on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so these are the global grand challenges and the big problems that are here now. And what's the big area of impact that you want to have on the world? Grand challenges are one of the ways to make that pathway pretty clear and pretty simple. And then the Build-A-Bot lab is another lab that Dr. Haring works in. She has a few grad students in there and also some undergraduate students. And a lot of the grad students who are in there, it started as their summer job. And then there we go. Career services. So DU has a really great career services office, and our students engage with career services more than other schools. And that's also really, really helpful when you think about why do you go to a small school? Why do you want a close environment like this? A whole lot of those career services relationships with companies are also alumni relationships. So that work with career services, they're there to help you. And most of the people that are there to work with them are there because they want to come back here and recruit you. We do have, most of our students do internships. Co-op is an option if you want to do a longer year-long program. But most of our students in CS do internships. Several do more than one. And the career services data that's out there, students who do internships are making usually around $10,000 more at their first job. And then that tends to snowball and follow them throughout their careers as, you know, you started at this salary. So then your next move, you will be continuing to move up at slightly higher salary levels. And I do our internship course approvals. So if there is anything that you want to do internship wise, I'm the person to find in the department. Your credits will not count towards your major. They will only count towards your free electives. So that's another conversation of like, are you doing this for credit? Are you doing this for your resume? Sometimes it's a bit of both. Sometimes there might be a research component in there as well. There are lots of options. Also, Colorado is an awesome place to be. A lot of the tech environment that used to be in California has moved here since 2020. Downtown Denver is full of technology firms that are great places to work that you may or may not have heard of. They're not super high profile like the Googles, Amazons, and Facebooks out there, but they want to be a really great place to work, a really great place where you can recruit your friends, and you know, that whole work-life balance thing. There are several firms there that's very important to them. That one, there's our final slide. Here are all of our contacts for questions, and let's take it to the Q&A. Okay, do CS students usually take classes during winter interterm? Typically, no, we typically don't offer very many classes during interterm. That's usually other departments. And then what is the most common concentration in CS? That has changed a lot recently. I would need to look up what our current numbers are. The most common by default is software engineer, software developer, and those students are taking a little bit of everything. So they have a little bit of everything. And they are planning on being more generalists. The deeper concentrations that students can go into, we do have a chunk of students who are taking all the cybersecurity courses as their electives. And we also have a cybersecurity club. It's mainly grad students, but there are some undergrads in there, and they do capture the flag and bug trophies. We sent a team to the last Department of Energy Cyberforce competition. and they place first in the documentation category. And also a whole lot of those cybersecurity challenges have cash prizes. Next, we do have a lot of students who focus on robotics, and those students take robotics and algorithms type courses and work with either Dr. Haring or Dr. Reardon. What kind of credits would an IB student receive towards a BS in CS? If those are your math credits, that goes towards math requirements and a math minor, and the other common curriculum. If you are doing that with computer science, I'll pull up we can pull up the link with the registrar site that has the list of IB equivalencies. But again, that's one that even if you see exactly what you have on the list, it's probably a good idea to talk to a faculty advisor just to see, is this going to be the path that makes the most sense for me? How many students are in the game development major? Is it new? It is not new. It has been around since at least the 90s. I joined DU in 2016, so I don't know the beginning. But it's been around for quite a while. And the biggest graduating class has been 11, so it's tiny. That said, you don't need to be in a game dev major to take game dev classes. They are very popular. And there's some interplay. The Game Development Society is our student organization that they did. They put on DU Arcade in the spring, and that is our biggest student event of the year. And that's open to the public. Everyone can come play. They're circling on dates in May right now. And just this past weekend, they did Global Game Jam. And so a core group of game development students, but they had about 45 participants. So you don't need to be a major to work with games. But if you do want to be a major, you will have a very close-knit cohort immediately. What year do students begin taking internships? Most commonly is junior and senior year. Most students just don't have as much experience to be ready for first and second year, but there are some, and there are some internships, and then also they're called REUs, or Research Experiences for Undergraduates, and those are grant funded. They are nationwide, and some of those are geared specifically at first and second year students. So generally later, but it is possible to do it earlier. Do any game development students double major? And if so, what is a common second major? For game dev, the most common second major is emergent digital practices. And that the EDP department lives, Sabrina, is that with, I forget if they're media film journalism or arts, humanities, and social sciences. But they live in the media film journalism humanities sort of world of what are we making with these tools? What does it mean? What is our culture doing with this? What is our society doing with this? And what are the implications there? And very much in the artistic side. So that one's most common with game dev. The most common doubles across majors, and mostly like BS and CS, those are math, physics, and chemistry. But like applied computing is designed to be combined with almost anything. We've also seen psychology, international relations. What else? There's been criminology. That one's a good cross-pollinator with if you're working in cybersecurity, and same for the international relations people. Really, technology is everywhere, and it can be combined with almost anything these days. Tied to the gaming, living, learning community. There are a few LLCs that are tied to CS, some more closely than the others. But I don't know enough about what will be happening in fall. I am more than happy to send that one on to find out. In the photo at the top right, what machine is that woman working on? I believe it is down in the machine shop. And there are a bunch of lathes and routers and other metal shop equipment down there.
I see that someone asked, how hard is it to get an internship?
Yeah.
I will introduce myself. My name is Lindy. I am currently technically a junior. I am a student in the computer science department, and I also currently am employed in the tech industry. So it's not actually an internship that I'm currently in. It's a job, but I'd be excited to speak on this because I think that, as you said, internships are super valuable. And I would say with my whole heart that if you are excited about computer science and you would like to have an internship, there's no doubt in my mind that you can get one. There's no like required experience or anything. There's plenty of internships that don't require certain kinds of experience, and rather they're looking for the right kind of person. And then if you do have experience, you can find something that really caters to that. But yeah, there's plenty of internships out there for anyone that wants one. And in terms of, someone kind of asked when people usually do internships. I don't know if we touched on that, but you could you as someone who works kind of full-time remotely and goes to school, you want to look at yourself and your own workload and see, what you're ready for. But I mean, whenever makes sense for you can work. So there's no timeline that you need to do it on. Most people, I would say, probably don't do it in their first year. I don't know if Meredith would agree with that, but usually first year is not super common. You haven't gotten too much experience in school yet, but I know someone who has internships and she did them in her second year. People do them in their third and fourth year commonly. So just a little more about internships to share. Definitely very doable. So yeah.
And to piggyback on Lindy, tech hiring in general is cyclical. There are times when everyone is getting hired. There are times of downturns. The downturns, you still get hired. It just takes longer. An average, regardless of time, what we see with most of our students from day one of, I am going to start applying, I want to get an internship, to walking in the door is usually 6 to 9 months. So a lot of us want to see something that's going to be instantaneous and get that kind of quick gratification, and that would be wonderful. But tech is just like any other field. You got to do all the job search stuff, go to career services, make appointments, do some mock interviews, do some networking prep, do your homework. The more that you prepare for it before you actually need a job is going to make the process easier when you are actually looking. So we just had the winter career fairs on campus today, and then the second day is tomorrow. The best time to go to the career fair is when you're not looking for a job and just to practice, because it for a whole lot of students, it's not the talents on their resume, it's not anything specific on their GitHub or any project that they've worked on. It's that they're in the mode of interviewing and talking to people and asking questions and, talking about the business development stuff that might not be their first passion in life, but that's the conversation that you're working on with hiring managers. A particular dorm all the CS undergrads live in. Not really. If you're going to be grouped around people, then you join an LLC. And those the living learning communities that our students have been in have been mostly in halls. And that's a good chunk of our students. The dorm they're in is Centennial Halls. It is on the opposite end of campus from our building, the far north end, and we're at the far south end. That said, no, you're not close to our building, but you're close to Washington Park. You're close to the Ritchie Center. You're close to the gym. You're close to, there's a mini mart in the halls, and there are a whole lot of people there. You are much closer to your common curriculum courses that are going to be mostly around Sturm Hall and midway through campus. So if you are at the far end, don't despair. You might want a skateboard or a bike or a scooter because it's a good like 15-minute walk. But you will be fine. Okay. The BA in game development. So that one, I want to connect you more with faculty. If you can pop back in the Q&A for that one. So the big difference between the BA and the BS options for computer science is a math minor. We no longer require the math minor for getting the BS, but once you've done the required math courses, you might as well just do the minor. For nearly every student, that's going to be what makes most sense mathematically, what's going to make most sense for their graduation plans and time to graduate, etc. For the BA, it is not required. But this is where a lot of students get to their junior year and make an easier path. But now you want to get into AI and machine learning. And if you want to get into AI and machine learning, if you want to get into computer vision, if you want to get into all of the new hot topics in tech, calculus and linear algebra are your friends, especially linear algebra. That's pretty much the foundation of all of the world of AI. So take the math. If it takes you longer, if you have to go on a different schedule, it's still worth it. So consider it carefully. That said, there's still plenty of opportunity out there for people with BA, but the BS is by far a more common major, like about 8-1. Okay, what would a typical course structure look like to double major in CS and game development? Can't do that one. They are too similar. The game development degree is pretty much the same as the CS degree, except there's a few electives that are required. So you're going to need to pick one or the other, unfortunately. And yeah, if you have experience, then we definitely want to get you in touch with a faculty advisor so that you can help figure out like what's going to be the path that's going to make you most successful in your first and second years. Are there any 3D design programs that are recommended to learn beforehand for the game development major? Nope. It's nice if you have some experience with Unity. That is what they use for game programming, but you don't really need anything. And, the differences between the BA and the BS in game development. Yeah, that one is your math. Your math is the big difference. Do you have your calculus sequence required, or is it just optional? Okay, those are all the ones that I can see. Do we have anyone else? Okay, I'll give people a few minutes to mention anything in the Q&A. I have a question for Lindy. So how has your path in CS how has that looked at you?
It's a great question. My path in CS has been really exciting at DU. I started with an understanding of programming and tech and computers. I was doing it. I had kind of been self-taught essentially. I had started with kind of database design. I'd started like dipping my toes into Excel, and then I had taken some Python classes. And this was years ago that I took them. So in some ways, I was fresh to computer science in terms of learning to code and that kind of thing. And I think that my initial intro to coding classes here have been incredible. I've really enjoyed the way that they tie in truly learning programming and coding, such as Python initially. And then we also focus on learning concepts, learning the, ins and outs of the industry, maybe like different career options, reviewing that kind of thing has been really powerful. And I've really enjoyed that. And I've found that all of the teachers have been really great educators, and they have really great insight into the industry. So it's been awesome because I've found that even though I had confidence and was in some ways confident that I could teach myself a lot of what I wanted to know eventually with computer science for my specific role at my job, which is web and app development, by the way. My instinct was confirmed as soon as I started at DU that I was going to get so much incredible context and going to learn everything so much faster by being here. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to just really elevate my options for my career via the courses, and it's been great. And I will say, I started as a BA. When I started at DU, I was doing the BA because I really wanted to get a degree in computer science. I wanted to do it quickly. I knew I was already in the industry, and I wanted to skip those math courses. And by my second quarter, I had switched to the BS because I realized I really wanted to do it. I knew I would have more options if I did it. And the difference was kind of negligible in my eyes. It was the math that was the big difference, was doing those math courses. And I realized, yeah, especially after hearing everyone's insight into the fact that they really are that important, I was like, let's do this, let's do it all the way. So that, I hope, answers your question about kind of the path I've taken.
Oh, that I'm glad you bring that up. Yeah, it varies a lot year by year, a whole lot, because this is not a huge group of people. But we usually see more people switching from BA to BS than the other way around.
And I am doing a math minor, which is, I've found a lot of people in computer science, mentors I've had, fellow students that I know I can tell and I feel are super smart. They're great with computer science. And it's not uncommon that people say, oh, math's not really my thing. But the nice thing is that I've actually taken a calculus 1 course before, but it was years ago. And I'm in calculus 1 currently for my degree. And it's really cool how getting the hang of kind of coding brain has actually made calculus make more sense to me. I'm not just saying that. So I would say you're set up to succeed. It's not scary. You can do it.
I used to teach math, and yeah, calculus can intimidate a lot of people. Give it time, give it an open mind, and know that the people who love math get frustrated at it too. They throw things and say the words as well. It's part of the process, and you just live with it, and it makes you smart. Okay, how many students do you have each year that go for BS and CS? So most of our classes, we hover around 90 per year. And about 80% of those are in the BS in computer science. And then the remaining 20% are in applied computing, the BA in CS, and both game development. So the overwhelming majority of the department is doing a BS in CS. That's all I've got. Sabrina, do you have any closing?
There was one question I partially answered in the chat, but someone wanted to know what your favorite department or thing was in computer science.
Lindy?
Favorite department? I mean, my favorite thing is coding. I really enjoy making things work. That is just really exciting to me. So yeah, my favorite things right now have been my programming classes where I'm actually learning currently Python. And doing everything from like the project we did a recreation of Wordle. So if you've ever played Wordle, we figured out how to code a Wordle lookalike, which was really cool. And it's just fun because you can see right away the kinds of things you could do with code. You know what I mean? It makes you feel very powerful. You're like, wow, I could do that. You start hearing problems and you go, oh, I know how I would solve that with code. So yeah, I really enjoy programming, and there's a sister class to the programming classes you take that is an intro to computer science, and in those we kind of talk about everything from career options to ethics. And something that we talked about just today was ethics of AI and kind of had a discussion about where that could be going in the industry. And so I also really, really love that department of computer science and just kind of that discussion and that thoughtfulness about the industry and on a broader scale and what might be coming. So I think it's well rounded, and those are my faves.
My favorite, I have Pippin here, not just to be my dog at work, but I love our community here. Pippin is in my office a couple days a week, and anyone and everyone can come say hi. He will love you if you give him a treat. And he also is the mascot for a whole bunch of our student organizations. We have the Game Development Society, we have the Computer Science Club, we have an Algorithms Club is brand new. We have the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. We have the Waffle Club, because one of our faculty did that at his undergrad institution, and he wanted to have that kind of community experience here. And as someone who went to a large state school, this was the thing that I missed in my undergrad experience, was that kind of community. But I think that's all we've got. I'm just going to put the slide back up here. So if you want to get in touch with an advisor, if you want to ask anything further, my email and student ambassadors will reach Lindy and everyone else. And then if you have some really hardcore coursework questions about that AP and IB transfer, Dr. Gauthier Dickey is the person to find for those. Oh, we got one last question. With small number, we usually have like 4 or 5 sections of intro classes. So you won't be like in the exact same room with the exact same people, but fairly close. And if anyone has any other questions? Well, if you're on campus, if you're in Denver, feel free to shoot me an email. I am happy to do building tours on any days that I'm in the building. Oh, now we got more. Okay. March 10th, Admitted Students Day. Yes, we will be there. And Dr. Gauthier-Dickey will be able to make that one. Typical size of a major class. Our default size for classrooms is 32 to 35.
And again, thank you all for coming. And thank you, Meredith, for providing the contact information as well for anyone to reach out. I'm going to end this session, but again, please reach out to our computer science department at that contact information or undergraduate admission as well. And hope everyone has a good night. Thanks.